Hello everyone, this is Murshid Ali, Assistant Teacher English Rotherpur TNP Tapit, Karigar Satya. Today I am going to share you some ideas about voices of assertive sentence. That means how can we change from active to passive of assertive sentence. So now, no wastage of time. Let us enter into the class. So dear learner, before entering into the class, before entering into the class, I have to tell you something what I told you in your previous class. In your previous class about the primary knowledge of voice sense, I told you many things. You have to try to remember all these type of items what I told you before. That means I told you about definition of voice and voice sense and active voice and passive voice areas. At the same time, I showed you our example, and at the same time, I told you about subjective form and objective form. So, dear learner, these are important part. These are important factor. You have to remember. You have to remember to complete or to do active from active to passive voice. Now assertive to now in assertive sentence. So now come to the point. How can we turn from active to passive voice if we find assertive sentence as a question in our question paper or in our exam? Okay, now come to the point. Voices of assertive sentence. Voices of assertive sentence. Here, I want to mention that about the definition of assertive sentence. That means, what is assertive sentence? Assertive sentence is a type of sentence that describes the condition of the subject. That describes any matter, any subject matter, anything about subject. Okay, now, so this is assertive sentence. Here I want to also mention, according to the meanings, there are five types of sentence: assertive sentence, interrogative sentence, imperative, operative, and exclamatory. But today we are going to discuss about the voices of assertive sentence. How can we turn from active to passive of assertive sentence? Okay, now, dear learner, we have learned just now about the definitions of assertive sentence. Now come to the another point. How to convert from active to passive of assertive sentence. For this, we have to follow a rules or regulation, a basic structure. I have written on the whiteboard as your time is not wasted, so I have written previous line. So I'm trying to read out this structure. Follow me in my class, otherwise you will not be able to understand. Okay, now subjective form of object. At the very beginning of the sentence will be used subjective form of object. For active voice, if we find active voice, then we have to try to find out object. Who is object in that sentence? So we have to bring at the very beginning the subjective form of that object. Then auxiliary verb. Then auxiliary verb. The verb which helps any other verbs to complete the sentence. Its another name is helping verb. Another name is helping verb. So now, auxiliary verb and helping verb it always depend on tense. It always depends on tense. Then V3. Then V3. That means in passive voice we have to use verb a past participle. The past participle of verb. In another way, the another names of past participle of verb is V3. Okay. Then preposition. Preposition may be used as by, to, for, with, at, etc. may be used. Okay. By, to, for, with, at. Dear learners, we have to learn about the use of them. By to for with. By to for with. Then objective form of subject. What we will find in our active voice as a subject, we have to turn it as an objective form. So this is the basic structure we have to follow to make active to passive of any assertive sentence. Then we can find any others word, extra word that can be termed as other. Then we can write down after objective form of subject. Here we can write down it. Okay, now I told you have to know about by, to, for, with. About use of it, you have to know or you have to give some ideas. Okay, these are the preposition. But in most cases, we used by. In most cases, we use by. In our today's class, I will show you some example here. Here, where you will find the use of by, to, for, with, and at. Step by step, I will show you. Here, I can remember. I can remember a very important position of sentence. Here, there is the reference of some Bangla. Then, so I have to tell something in English and something in Bangla to make you better understand about the use of by, to, for, with, at, etc. Okay, now let's start it. ভয় ভীতি যেখানে উইদিন রেখো মনে, চেনা জানা যেখানে টু দিও সেখানে, কারো জন্য যখন ফর দিও তখন, উইথ দ্যাট কন্ডাক্ট বিহেভিয়ার বাকি সব বাইয়ের কারবার, বাকি সব বাইয়ের কারবার। দ্যাট মিনস ইন মোস্ট কেসেস উই ইউজড বাই। ওকে, নাও আই এম রিপিটিং দিস ম্যাটার। ভয় ভীতি যেখানে উইদিন রেখে মনে, চেনা জানা যেখানে টু দিও সেখানে, কারো জন্য যখন ফর দিও তখন, with that conduct behavior বাকি সব বাইয়ের কারবার। Okay, now example, we have to see the example. I have written already for example A, B, C, D. Okay, now I am going to explain this example. Rofik reads novel. Rofik reads novel. This is the third person singular number and subject. Rofik is a subject in this assertive sentence, and here if we follow carefully, we find novel is object. We find novel is object. So according to the rules and regulation of the structure, we have to find out object, and it will have to be got at the first of the answer. So now novels are read by Rofik. Novels are read by Rofik. Here, novels are object. Novels are object. Novels, they are plural. So, are is used as a form of plural verb. Then, we have used past participle form or V3 of read. Novels are read by Rofik. Here I have used by. In general way we can use by, but in some exceptional way we have to use with, to, for, at, etc. Okay, now today here perfect is by. Perfect use is by. So the answer I can repeat. Novels are read by Rofik. Okay, now next. Coronavirus seises us. It is a name of panic. It is spreading all over the world. Very horribly, very fearfully. So it is creating panic among us. So coronavirus seises us. Here subject. Dear learners, try to find out subject. Coronavirus is subject. Then verb says, arrest. That means arrest. Then us. This is object. And if we find the object us, then we have to use we at the very beginning of the sentence. So I have written here we. This is we are plural. So after we have to use are. This is present tense. This is present tense. Present indefinite tense. That's why in present indefinite tense we can use auxiliary verb am, is, are. Am, is, are. Am is generally used after I. That is, am is generally used after I. It is comically said that am is the position of the father of the law of I. Am is the position of the father of the law of I. So that's why am will be used after I. Then is after third person singular number in this present indefinite tense is will be applied or is will be used. Then after we and third person plural number, maybe we have to use are as a helping verb or auxiliary verb. So I have got here subject we. That's why I have used are. We are. Then past participle, you have to use past participle or V3 according to your structure. So that's why says is the verb. This past participle is says. Arrested. That means arrested. We are says, then with. Then with here no by, not by. Here we have to use with. That means corona is a name of panic. It is creating horror in our mind, in our heart. That's why we have to use with. In our I told you before, ভয়ভীতি যেখানে within রেখে মনে, ভয়ভীতি যেখানে within রেখে মনে. That's why I have used here with. Then I'll bring the subject as object. Here subject is coronavirus. Subject is coronavirus. That's why I have used coronavirus at the last part of the sentence. I told you when I in my previous class about the use of subject and object. That means subjective and objective form. If we find in any subjective form as any proper noun, then we can use it. We can use it as not by not changing this form. Okay now. So that's why I have here use coronavirus as subject as object. Okay now. Next, I know her. I know her. This is very simple example. We will try to understand. Here, her is used as object of female character. So, if I used her, if I see her here, so we have to use she as subjective form. Then she's singular number. Then she is singular number. This is also present tense, present indefinite tense. So after she, we have to use is. This is appropriate here. So she is, then verb, past participle of verb or V3. Past participle of verb or V3. The past participle of verb know is known. Know is known. Then to. This is very important. Not to be point to be noted that. This is very important. You have to use to. I told you before, চেনা জানা যেখানে to দিও সেখানে. চেনা জানা যেখানে to দিও সেখানে. That's why she is known to me. Well, we have already known that the objective form of I is me. The next, his behavior pleased me. His behavior pleased me. His statement pleased me. Clarity. That's why here, if we try to find out subject, his behavior, then please, verb, then object me. So we have got here object me. So I must be used here as subject. Okay. This is past tense. We have to follow this sentence carefully that this sentence is past tense. How can we identify past tense? We can identify tense by viewing or by observing the verb. Here verb is pleased and ed is situated here. That's why we can easily understand that this is past tense. So now here subject I, and according to tense, past indefinite tense, the auxiliary verb or helping verb will be was and were. Was and were. But after I, were is not suitable or appropriate. That's why we have to use was. So I was pleased. This is the past participle or V3 of the sentence. Then I have used at. At. With that conduct behavior, বাকি সব বাইরের ব্যাপার. I told you before. So that's why we have to use here at. Then subject his behavior I wrote here. So dear learner, I told you many things in my class, but it is time to you. You have to practice in your home again and again to be a stockholder of knowledge about the voices, especially the voices of assertive sentence I described you now. So I think that you will try again and again to gain knowledge about voices. Okay, so no more today. See you again in the next class.